I walked out of the West. Well, Colorado, if that's West enough for you. My travels have left me rich in the one thing that everyone carries with them. Stories. Where I've been, what I've seen, and what I have to share about to come to light. This is gonna be good. So gather around and let me tell you a story. Today, we'll witness the greatest battle of my life. I have trained hard. I must train myself. My mind and body must be at their sharpest. I hope it is enough to beat him. He's waiting inside. Do I risk changing the balance of the deck? I'll go ahead and take one pack, please. Have it. Have it. Way have it, dang it.
Got a back, please. Wow, there's gonna be some Mega LMTYaS or something.
There we go, man. Have a good one, buddies.
There, ultra rare. It's my third one.
Whoa! Figures.
I heard he ate a grenade.
Next players to the combat area! Players are Mario versus Joe! Players who do not appear will be disqualified!
It's much too soon for that. You look surprised.
I was worried my training was going to be wasted.
It will, just in a different way.
Enough talk. You've heard what comes next.
So how is this different from our last battle?
You'll lose.
Confident, are we?
I have reason to be. I have grown as a warrior.
Choose your warriors! Let combat begin! And good luck!
I choose my warrior. I am armed.
You learned something from our last battle. I choose my warrior. I am Sundays. Let's roll and decide this.
You're experiencing difficulties in our last round's results! All further matches are hold until further notice!
Hadn't expected that.
I can wait.
Bored already.
How about you let me tell you a story?
Well, the phone's almost dead, so why not?
Oh yeah, it's my fan fiction.
Wait, what?
In my darkened apartment, I sat and watched the only source of light in the room, which was my television. My mind had been wandering, and I didn't hear what the TV anchor had been saying before they went to the news crew at the site of the latest incident. A man was standing in front of his home in the outskirts of Raccoon City.
Good evening, I'm Mike Deneau. We interrupt this program to bring you this important news bulletin. We are receiving unconfirmed reports right now.
This is Foley King reporting on the scene found the side of my house. He had a terrible gash in his stomach. He looked pretty messed up on the whole. I seen him coming around and was waiting with my 12 gauge.
He smiled a grin that lacked many front teeth.
And then what did you do?
No maniac's gonna get laid. I shot him in the head. I mean, he'd already been shot in the stomach and that ain't stopped him.
Well, this is all still pending an investigation.
The camera swiveled over to the side of a coroner's vehicle and several paramedics removing the body of the man that had been shot. That segment ended, but I kept on watching for the next few hours. The next news of note was a follow-up story on the incident with that man.
We've got this in now, an update to this story. A preliminary autopsy on the unidentified man apparently shot and killed by another local man has cast doubt on this story. The coroner has determined that the man had been deceased for at least 3 days.
Stories like this went on for the next day or so. I was starting to lose track of time. It was mid-morning 2 days after the first incident, after a commercial for umbrella brand something or other. The side I'd hoped I wouldn't see was on the screen. Several gray people, all with terrible injuries all over them, were limping and shambling toward a group of policemen. They were using the doors as cover when they opened fire on the people. The shots tore through the bodies of the shambling ones. The shots had almost no effect except for the one that got one of them in the head. It fell to the ground now completely lifeless. The other RPD officers followed suit and aimed for the heads. There was a last barrage of gunfire, and the segment ended. The news anchors were loudly debating what they had just seen. I had stopped listening, though. The ramifications of what I had just heard and seen got me in a state of panic. They were there, in broad daylight. No more doubting them or what they were. They were the Walking Dead.
The last round has been resolved! Players are to begin battle immediately!
Just as I expected. Cut the deck.
Health points, courage and magic points. Set. Draw 3. Potion, quick recovery and last minute dodge. I need a strategy. I know.
Excellent. Dragon Potion, Fiery Wrath, and Imbued Gauntlets. I know. I'll set a trap, starting with Fiery Wrath.
I place Fiery Wrath into play. All your attacks will enrage Sundance, and I'll counter harder and harder. I now equip Imbued Gauntlets. My magic-based attacks are even stronger now.
No way!
Soon, my attack will begin. Your turn.
I see your plan. Arn and I are up to the challenge. I will draw a card, spending 3 courage to do it. I've drawn Flayer's sword. Now roll for strength gathering. I place 7 courage, and an extra one for my offensive ability, Boundless Courage. I equip the Flayer's sword, and place 8 courage from the sword's effect to give me extra courage in the same turn.
Your second turn. And that's all you've got?
I've still got my story.
I decided there was nothing here worth my life. I got up, put on my black leather jacket, and grabbed my keys. I was just about out the door when I paused to take one last look at my apartment. It might have been the last time I see it. That's when I spotted my knife. It's a large Bowie knife. I bought it at a gun shop a few blocks away. I'm sure the name of the shop was Kendo Gun Shop. I guess it didn't matter where I got it. It was still my only weapon. I picked it up and carefully put it in the large interior pocket of my jacket. I don't think I bothered to lock the door. The floor my apartment is on is deathly silent. I walk over to the elevator and press the button to go down. I heard a voice calling my name.
Andrew, order the elevator.
It was my neighbor, Horace. He had the last few days off, some kind of accident at his job, he told me. I wondered what he was doing. He finally fully emerged from his apartment. He was carrying 2 suitcases. I held the door open for him while he got in. As the doors closed, he asked me what I was doing. I'm getting out of here before it gets any worse.
I know the creatures. I hope the authorities can handle this. I may know how it started.
What? How?
I can't say for certain yet. but it's something I can't let go.
Horace looked very troubled. What are you going to do?
I'm going to find a way to share what I know. It's all connected.
What connection do you think it is? Well, what are you going to do now?
I can't expose this in the city. I have a reporter friend. He will help.
The elevator doors opened and we stepped out. I'll help you find him. Be careful. No one likes a whistleblower. The lobby is empty. Apparently everyone else came to the same conclusion I did, just sooner. Horace had just realized he had a phone call to make and stayed in the lobby while I went outside and took a look around. The street was quiet and no one was to be seen. He looked like he might be a while, so I thought to start my car already. It is parked a few cars down. I walked over and locked it. But before I could get in, I looked down the street and saw many blocks away several police cars driving past the street I'm on. Their lights were on, but I couldn't hear any sirens. They were that far away. Coming from that same direction was a motorcycle. I didn't think very much of it and got in my car. I started it, checked my side mirror. The motorcycle was barreling at the back of my car. I threw open my door and started running. The motorcycle fell on its side and hit my gas tank. They both exploded. I could feel the heat. I scanned the wreckage for the rider, but could find no sign of him. Horace just then came running out of the building. He thought I was still in the car.
Angelo!
Over here! But there was fear in his face. He was looking behind me. I turned around and found one of them. It was the motorcycle rider. It was missing most of its right arm, but was still walking toward me with the stub of the other arm out. A police car screeched to a stop just then. I was petrified with fear. All I could think of was to get my knife out.
Get down!
I did. A single shot rang out. The zombie crumpled to the ground.
Angelo, are you hurt?
No, I'm all right. The policeman started to get back into his car once he heard me say that. I ran toward him and he stopped. I asked him what was happening.
I was on my way to a call that sounded just like this when I found you with that thing.
I couldn't move. You saved my life.
All just part of the job.
He reached into his patrol car and came back out with a handgun. He tossed the gun to me. I almost didn't catch it. He looked me right in the eye and said,
If you see any more, aim for the head. Know what you're shooting at before you shoot. Stay alive.
He moved to get back into his car, but I stopped him again. What's your name, so I know who to thank? He flashed a big smile and answered,
Marvin Brannock.
I wonder whatever happened to him. I guess I'll never know. The siren died away. Horace and I went back inside. He had to finish his call. He called the airport and found out that all the planes had been grounded and none were allowed to land. I went back outside and looked at the twisted mess that was my car. I don't have a clue how to get out of this city on foot. I might run into another one of them. He came outside and suggested we take his car. The traffic is terrible and the highways were full of people trying to escape the city. The traffic moved at a snail's pace only to grind to a halt.
It doesn't look like it's moving anymore at all.
He was trying to see over the car in front of us. That gave me the notion to get out and look. I opened my door and stepped 1 foot out.
What are you doing?
I'm just getting a better look. I strained my eyes to see what in the world was stopping us. The cars were starting to move, but to my shock, they were only being diverted back into the city. I jumped back into the car.
What did you see?
They're diverting all the traffic back. No one's getting through. His jaw fell open.
How could they do this? Do they truly not know?
When we got close to the roadblock beyond the diverted traffic exit, we were able to see who had put it there. The National Guard had solidly set it up. Even at 100 yards away, we could plainly see them in full gear and their M16s in their hands.
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it. You're questioning my dice rolls, and your story has main characters being faced with certain death?
You're practically dropping them. There's like zero rotation. And the government is just doing what it thinks is right to contain the disease. Can you get ruling over here?
What are some brown men doing playing Dungeons and Dragons down here?
Hey, man, I'm not looking for level 10 racism, alright? Now look at this roll.
Yeah, roll from higher up or with more rotation. No excuses.
We're not getting out that way, at least. Things had gotten worse in Raccoon in the time we had been on the highway. Many buildings were belching thick black smoke. Others had been nearly engulfed in flames. We exited the highway into an area a half mile from downtown. We turned onto a side street. Horace rolled the car to a stop along the curb. His hands were clenched to the wheel, and he was staring straight ahead.
How can you be so calm?
I'm just calm on the outside. On the inside, I'm just as scared as you.
What do we do now?
You know the military we saw at the roadblock?
I do.
They didn't look like they were going to come to our aid anytime soon. We'll have to find another way out. I'm sure all the other roads are blocked.
But what other way out is there?
I don't know yet. Come on, think with me. I tried not to pressure him too much. All this had taken an awful toll on him. The car was silent for the next few minutes. My mind was not escaping, though. All I could think about when he talked about the creature's origins. Where do they come from, Horace?
Can I trust you, Angel?
Yeah, you can.
I work for the largest pharmaceutical company in the world. Umbrella Incorporated is the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer, supplier, and researcher. But that's just what they use as an excuse to research illegal areas of genetic engineering. The biggest areas of research is in viruses.
Like finding medicines to treat them?
No. I helped to build a network for a research facility here in Raccoon. It was very secure. I saw things that I was never meant to. They've spent years and billions of dollars developing a new strain of virus.
I never heard of either. Where is there a facility in Raccoon?
It's a secret facility under a section of downtown. So I was repairing a terminal and its last file transfer was frozen. And I tried to purge the system, but not before I saved the file. The file was not encrypted and was a report on progress. It was so strange, Andrew. It talked about time from infection to reanimation.
What does that mean?
The things that are attacking people. I think they're infected with the virus that was being created by my employer. The file I found said the virus could change a person, and in all tests made them violent berserkers.
It's as likely as anything right now. He sighed and was about to answer. But a loud bang from my right startled him. I turned to see several people spill out and scatter. They were terrified by something. A creature appeared out of the doorway, mouth agape. It would have followed after them, but it spotted me and lunged toward my window. Horace hadn't shut the car off and peeled out when the thing hit the window. He was panicking and kept accelerating. Horace, stop the car! He didn't hear me. I tried to grab the wheel, but he took a sharp turn and I was thrown against my door. We completely rounded the corner and struck an ambulance that was parked with its back doors closed.
Guys, can I get a picture for the store website?
He's taken more of a beating than our last battle.
Hey, we're about 6 turns in apiece.
Yeah?
That's 3-card draw plus 6 cards drawn, which is 9. You have 5 cards in your hand and 6 in play. That's 11. Too many. Put them back.
My mistake. Let's continue our battle.
The impact knocked the wind out of me, and when I looked over towards Horace, I could see he'd been knocked out. I reached over and felt for his pulse. He's alive. Horace? Horace! He stopped, but I could still hear groaning. I sat straight up, and through the shattered windshield could hear that same groaning. It was coming from outside the car. I removed my seatbelt and ran my door open. I can't see where the sound is coming from. I pull out my pistol and listen again. I see the ambulance in front of the wrecked car. The ambulance is in the middle of the street. There are 2- and 3-story buildings lining the sides of the road. The afternoon sun is partially blocked out by the smoke coming from one of the burning buildings on the same block. I heard the moan one more time and zeroed in on it. It's coming from a man lying in the doorway of a nearby building. I ran over to him. Before I got close enough to call out, the man sat up, and I was able to see that he's a paramedic. In his hands is a shotgun. He primes it. Don't shoot! I put away my gun. He lowers his. Are you all right?
No.
He tried to stand up, but couldn't.
What happened? We weren't able to respond to a call from this building right away, and
We didn't find anyone alive.
I had to help him to his feet and back to the ambulance. Horace was awake when we got back, except for a bump on his head and a few cuts. He was all right. I had seen the man's name on his badge. His name is Ken. Horace braced Ken as I moved the ambulance up to get at the back doors. I got in and opened the doors.
Ken, did anyone else survive?
I really don't think so. But in that building is a huge cache of guns and ammunition.
I shot a glance at Horace and he did the same at me.
Horace, I'm going to try to get into that building to get at the weapons myself. By myself.
His eyes are wide.
You can't go alone.
I'll be fine. Ken, where is the cache in the building?
It's all in the basement.
I got up to get out of the back of the ambulance, but he stopped me.
You shouldn't go alone.
I'll take it slow and be careful.
I got out and shut the door before they could protest anymore. There it is. A building filled with more of those things. I quietly opened one of the double doors and looked inside. The front office of the buildings was in bad shape. Papers were strewn everywhere, furniture knocked over, and several bodies on the floor, too. I slipped in as quietly as I could. I froze when I got to the middle of the room. I changed my course to not walk close to the bodies. They could just be playing dead. There was an elevator at the end of the room and a set of stairs. I paused to consider which to use. The elevator could be faster, but it could drop me into a nest of them. I'd be more in control in the stairwell, but it might also be hard to climb back out if I had to. I poked my head into the stairwell. I couldn't hear anything. The stairwell was lit with a kind of amber light. I looked back to make sure none of the bodies had decided to stop playing possum. There hadn't been any change. It didn't make me feel any better. I decided to use the stairs. A sign next to the door reminds me to use the stairs in case of an emergency. If this isn't an emergency, I don't know what is. The door slammed behind me, and the sudden noise surprised me a little. There wasn't the slightest sound in the stairwell. 2 floors down, something broke the silence. At the bottom of the stairs is a door. There's a thumping coming from behind it. It's slow and steady. The door had a window, and I looked inside. The room was full of what looks like gun racks and lockers. There was a pull string light in the middle of the room. The light was on. I didn't see anybody inside. I tried the knob, but it didn't budge. I glanced down to see a key ring on the floor. The key had to be on it. I picked it up, and when I leaned down to pick up the key ring, the thumping was definitely coming from the bottom half of the door.
So 3 guys are looking for a place to hold up and wait.
Just do it. I'll crush you when we're through.
Anyway,
I finally found the right key and put it in the keyhole. I didn't turn the knob, though. I pulled out my gun. Now I turned the knob and yanked the door open. The thumping was one of them. It's crippled and is on its stomach. It looked up at me and moaned with a vacant look in its eyes. I shot it. It slumped to the floor. I grabbed the thing by the shoulder and dragged it out of the doorway. I stepped into the room and closed the door behind me. The lockers were against the back wall, and on my left and right were the gun racks. In the middle of the room was a table. It had some papers on it. Yesterday's paper. A couple of gun magazines and a diary. I glanced at it. The diary is normal up until about a week ago.
October 24th, 1998, 9:21 a.m. Most everyone has been turned into a flesh-eating monster. October 25th, 1998, 4:17 p.m. I've been trying to save a few tenants trapped in their apartments, but when I finally got into one of the last apartments, a zombie came out from a hole and caught me by surprise. I sent it back to the grave, but I'd be following soon. Under normal circumstances, this bite would only have meant a few stitches and a bad scar, but somehow a monster's bite is always fatal. It must be something in their saliva.
The next entry is hard to read.
October 26th, 9 p.m. It's getting hard to think. I hope the tenants got away. I might have done myself in, but
The line streaked off the paper. He must have become one of them right then. My eyes darted around the room for what I came for. I found 2 canvas camouflage bags and loaded them full of guns and ammo. One bag was full of ammo, the other was with the smaller guns. I also took a hunting rifle and 2 shotguns. I strapped the rifle to my back and one of the shotguns. I'd be making use of the other very soon. The gunroom had a hall that led into an apartment. Before I left, I went into the kitchen and got a drink of water. It hit me just then that we really might not get out of this alive, that a grisly end is always just a step away now. I snapped out of it and remembered that Horace and Ken were waiting for me. With a bag under each arm, a rifle, and a shotgun across my back, and a fully loaded shotgun in my hands, I was ready to leave. The zombie was still dead. I climbed the stairs, slowly listening for any new noises. I heard nothing until I got in front of the lobby's door. I froze in front of it. There was a thumping coming from behind it now. I quietly turned the knob to where the door would open if I pushed it, and then I kicked it open instead. The door hit a body but still opened all the way. Nearly all of the bodies had now changed. 5 of them. The shotgun, I had only 7 shots. I blasted the one in front of me and then the one above my left. I primed the shotgun and dashed forward. One blast and another went down. The way out was open and I made a run for it. Outside I was safe and the ambulance was still there. I tapped on the back of the ambulance, but there was no answer.
Horace, open up!
You made it!
Yes, it was there, all of it.
Ken was lying on a stretcher next to Horace.
That's a relief. Ow!
You hanging in there?
Yeah, how about you? Nobody tried to take a bite out of you?
A few of them were inside, but I took care of them.
I've been on duty for almost 2 days straight. I've seen men bitten and die in just a few hours.
Does that mean that your wounds are...
Not from those things. This one on my arm is from a man who was panicking and waving a gun around. He actually shot me. The one on my torso is from an explosion in one of the apartments in the building where you found those guns. We need to get moving.
The highways are blocked.
What?
The military closed off the highway and forced all the cars back into the city. They aren't coming to help us, Ken. They're waiting for us to die here.
I don't believe it.
I climbed into the front of the ambulance.
I don't know where to go, but we can't just stay here.
Your characters are set to die, and after that mass attack, you couldn't have more than, oh yes, only 8 HP left. I have 71 HP left myself, and that means your next turn, I will have to breathe on your battered corpse to win.
Maybe I've learned more than you ever thought.
I have 1 turn. My HP is down to 8. I have only 10 courage left. My strongest attack only does 35 damage, but costs 40 courage to use.
I play quick recovery. I recover 7 HP and place 5 courage. I pay 3 courage, draw 1 card. It's Chant. It's my only chance. I play Chant. I must now roll increasingly higher rolls, and for each successful roll, I place even more courage.
No one gets that many perfect rolls. Nobody!
I didn't come this far to lose, and if it comes down to a roll, so be it. Arm, Chant, and let our courage grow. 3 courage. 4 more. 5 and 5 more.
Nobody can do that.
Now 6. That's all 24.
That's 36 courage. What can you do with that?
I have yet to roll for my own strength gathering.
I place 9 courage. That means 45 total.
You may be able to attack, but can you cut down Sundance before losing on my turn?
You're right. My attack would only do 36 damage and leave you alive.
So what are we waiting for?
I play Dragon Potion. I roll 2 dice and I add 5 damage to the total. That's 10. I will pay the optional cost of 10 HP, which I can only do with the effect of Quick Recovery. That adds 10 more damage. My attack can now do 61 damage.
That'd leave me alive and you just an KO on my turn.
I have learned to sacrifice in order to achieve my goals.
No, you wouldn't.
I play all the strength I need. allowing me to discard a card from my hand and gain 10 more damage to my attack.
Joe, your evil will be purged in the searing white flames of good. Holy fire slash! It does 35 damage, plus 1 from the offensive ability, Sharper, plus 5 from the Argon Blade, plus 25 from the Dragon Potion, and plus 10 from all the strength I need. That's 76.
If I can't roll a 6 for my blade resistance, I've lost! My defensive ability, Fire Flesh, won't do enough damage.
My muscles tightened.
Don't fail me, dice. No!
It's over. Arn and I have won. Joe has been defeated for now. I can breathe a sigh of relief. There will be more and tougher foes, I am certain. But we will be ready.